What's up, everybody? This is Her to You, and welcome to another Wednesday's Random. Thank you for tuning in and all that good jazz. So, today's Wednesday Random, we're going to continue on my journey and we're going to discuss giving yourself permission to heal. And I'm going to be discussing, obviously, with myself, with giving my self permission to heal. But before I get into that, first of all, I do want to say, if you haven't checked out my last video where I basically discuss why Her to You takes on the mission of childhood trauma, please go back and listen to that. The link is not in the bio. Obviously, this week's Wednesday's Random will be there. But if you click the link in the bio, it will take you to the YouTube page, and then from there you can find the video for last week's, and that'll kind of get you right where you need to be. I also want to say thank you. I got so much feedback. I got so many calls. I cried with several of you guys. Last week's Wednesday's Random was very hard and was very transparent for me. It was the first time that I've actually spoken out loud. Really, put it out there to the world, a piece of my journey and a piece of what, the trauma that I've actually been through. So the feedback that I received was very refreshing. It was unexpected. I didn't know what to really expect. But it was great. I really appreciated that. And it's so funny because I've gained, I kind of gained new friends and new people around me, and they've all been a blessing to me. It's crazy that when you're going through like this transition and you're changing your life and all this other stuff, and you pray for, because on this journey I've done this alone. I've always expected to just do this alone, but I'm learning as I'm opening up more that a lot of people, especially new people, are showing me a lot of support, and I'm just grateful for people that I people that I just met that made that day, that made that week very special, and I just want to give out those thank yous. All right, so let's get into it. So with a little continuation, so I started my healing journey years ago, actually. Years ago. This isn't something that is just recent. It's just that when you decide to give yourself permission, in my experience, I just reneged on it several times. I went back and forth with it. But the moment that I really made the first moment that I really made the decision, it was around my birthday. So my birthday is December 27th, and I'm excited now because this will be the first Wednesday's Random, and it's so funny. It's very this is very special that I'm starting my journey on the month that I was born in, even though it's not Capricorn season, just December. I love me some December because it's just coming up to my new year. I celebrate my birthday as a new year, as a fresh start. So I'm super excited. I am super excited, and this is not the norm. So that's amazing. That's a good start, right? So it was around my birthday when I started, like, and this was several years ago. This had to be at least about 3-4 years ago. At least 3-4 years ago. No, I think we're right on the money. About 3 or 4 years ago. So I kept having these dreams. And I couldn't sleep at night. I could not sleep at night. Like, I was being straight tortured, like, with memories. And these are memories that I've never dreamed about. Like, I've never thought about. And they were so like, um, they were so, they felt so deafening. They felt like they had a hold on my neck. Like I would get up and I'd be like, and it would be such a nightmare that I'm like, I'm not sleeping. So I really had some very, very sleepless nights. And I remember I was on Facebook, scrolling on Facebook, because when you can't sleep, social media is your best friend. So I'm scrolling on Facebook, and I had seen this post where and I can't say this is a childhood friend because we weren't technically friends, but I went to the same middle school with her, and I mean, if I seen her, me and her would speak, like me and her would talk, but she was just an associate, I guess, right? But she was a child. She was in my childhood, right? And so she had posted like a Facebook response. She had posted a Facebook post that said, "I just want my health back." And I guess at the time she was in the hospital. And on my birthday, she ended up passing. And her death struck out to me because in my personal life, like I'm struggling with these dreams and feeling like, I'm being tortured with these dreams and having nightmares. And this person, and I remember one of our conversations, we talked about our daughters. We both had daughters, and the love that she just, and I think this was her only child, and the love that she just had for her child, like just speaking about her child, like just how, like, she just lit up talking about her baby. It made me feel for that child, like, oh my God. And then she passes, and it's like, I just want my health back, and then boom, she's gone. So that was the start of it, right? So the couple of days I just kept just watching her page and going right back to her saying she wanted her health back, and then her passing. And that made me realize, like, even now, for me to say that happened years ago, right? Me making that decision 3-4 years ago, I'm still here. Like, I'm still able to, God is still giving me days to wake up. He still has given me time. And she is always she is always really in the back of my mind when I have been going through the things, because I'm like, she is no longer here to heal from anything that she's been through, to do anything for her child, and yet you are. So with her, um I try not to take for granted, like, my days. But of course, I'm human, right? And that's easier said than done. So when I decided to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my healing, it was one, off of her. That was one. Two, right after that, I ended up moving from Texas to Georgia. So all of that was in the same, no, because that was in December. In June, I ended up moving. June 1st is when I officially moved to Georgia. So within that time, I had went like vegan and vegetarian, because on my list of healing was health, fitness, um, mental, and spiritual. But mental, I pushed that all the way to the back burner. Like, I was like, okay, let me just get my eating habits right, work out and stuff like that. So then I ended up moving to Georgia, and it just wasn't. I stayed a vegetarian for like, oh no, I did. I stayed a vegetarian for like a good year, actually. Actually, I did. Actually, I did. But then, I love food, and Georgia was the spot to be at. So I broke that. Um, so with healing, with giving yourself permission to heal, it's wild because it comes with guilt. Like it came with guilt for me, like me having self-care, me wanting to eat properly, me wanting to take time for myself and rearrange like my schedule and my habits. um those became very hard, and those became like guilt trips. So for instance, the self-care thing, like without even knowing it, I started telling myself every day, like, you're gonna choose you, like you're gonna choose you. And I didn't realize that I was actually preparing myself for that. Like I was really manifesting that without realizing that I was. Like I just was set on, you're gonna choose yourself, because you haven't all this time, you haven't actually chose yourself, right? So I did the whole I did the whole manifesting without even realizing it. So I usually just say, I'm choosing myself, I'm choosing myself, I'm choosing myself. So even when like I wrote out things that I wanted to do, right? So like for instance, like I want to get my nails done. I want to start getting lashes, because I never did that before. Like, well, my nails, yes, but like getting lash extensions, waxes, facials. I made a list of all of that. Like, this is what I'm gonna do for myself. Like, this is my self care. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to make myself happy. And I would schedule my appointments. Like, I really did research on technicians. I really did have a great esthetician. Um, the one that did my facial. I had one to do my facial and one to do my lashes and my waxes. Well, no, the one that did my facials did my waxes, and then the one that did my lashes, she sometimes did my waxes as well. So, and then I got massages. What else did I have on there? I had that whole thing on there. And I did not let nothing get in the way of that, including my child. I didn't let nothing get away with it. I made sure that I budgeted for it. I made sure that I kept my appointments. And so even that, right? So that just made me, because I know people are like, well, we might not all have the money for it. We may not have this, we may not have that, which I understand that. I do understand that, because it is costly. As you say, I don't have no nails or no lashes on now because I am making those sacrifices to put into my business. But what's wild is, what I do know is that when you want something, one, you will find a way to make that thing happen. Two, you can really plan for it. You can really plan for it. And I cut out like eating out. I used to eat out all the time. So I used to eat out all the time. So once I started taking that back, then you start to see, like, you have to really sit down and evaluate your life, because you can afford everything else that you do in your life. You have to afford new habits. You have to be able to afford new habits. So that is also part of giving yourself permission, because there's going to be things that you're going to want to give. There's going to be things that you want to take away. So you're going to have to really figure that out, right? Um so that's what I did, and that made me feel great. Like, that made me feel good. It made me just feel good inside. Not like, of course I love my nails when I got them done, or I love my lashes when I got them done, but it really just was the completion of actually completing something, that I said that I wanted to do for myself. That was the biggest thing. um the second thing was the guilt, like the guilt of it, right? And it sounds crazy to say, okay, you're giving yourself permission, but then there's guilt. And I think there's guilt because, when you're moving in life, you're just going, 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 and you don't really stop and see how your life is going or how your thing is going. So with my child, I'm giving you all of me, my whole waking time. I'm rearranging things, which which parents do, and we have to, right? So I'm rearranging life and doing all this and doing all that. Mind you, I moved to a whole state for my child to make her comfortable. I gave up my comfort for that. Like, so, okay. And that took a toll on me. So, the guilt of saying, okay, well, I have to do this because I have to be a parent. I have to do this because, she wasn't meant to be here. Da, 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 da. That's fine and dandy. She's here though, right? And she didn't ask her to be here, but it's written, you're here. Like, you're here. So we're going to do what we need to do to make this a healthy situation, right? Because if I'm unhappy and I'm the one that got to do these things, then how are these things going to come out? Like, I can have good intentions of rearranging things to make sure that you're able to go here and there and there. But if I'm talking ish to you the whole time, like, and I did this so that you can do this and I don't need it, then you kind of really don't want it. And then I'll create that expectation, like, you know what, I ain't even gonna ask her because she's gonna do this and do that. So I had to take the guilt out of saying, no, I ain't gonna be able to do that. I'm sorry. We're not doing that. Matter of fact, you told me entirely too late. Or have you actually earned this? Have you actually earned that? Because I was just used to be like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. We'll go ahead. Not realize like, oh shoot, I got this going on, right? So now I'm like, no, ain't nope, not gonna be able to do it. Not gonna be able to do it. So I started saying no, like, no, this is what I'm doing. This is what I have planned. I'm sorry, boo, but we'll work around or we'll try to see if we can do it some other time or something like that. And that actually, that made her accountable too, with telling me things like, remember I told you, and then we'll kind of like laugh at it. I'm like, oh yeah, you did. So okay, yeah, I gotta do what I have to do. And so I would do that for her. So okay, so then those three things is the health, the guilt, and then feeling good about myself. So now, once I started to feel good about myself, feel good about the decisions that I was making, I understood, I knew for a fact that I was keeping myself as a priority, right? That is when for me, when I was open to go to counseling now, because I'm not depressed. And this is just for me. This is my journey. I'm not depressed. I'm actually feeling good, but I do know that I'm masking it in a sense, right? So I know that I'm taking out the outside, taking care of the outside of me. I know that I'm trying to eat better. I know that I'm working out, but I'm really still masking it because I'm not dealing with the internal things that is in my head. And on top of that, all I can really, I'm not being tortured by the dreams, but I'm still seeing that pulse. Like, I just want my health back. And I'm like, you know what? If I want true healing, then I need to go do the work. So then that's when I was like, yo, I had to have a conversation with myself. And this is what I said to myself. What is it that you want what is it that you want? Period. And I wrote those things out, like, and it wasn't like, what do you want in life? Or what do you want in this? But how do you want to feel inside? You know what I'm saying? That was my thing. Like, what do you want? Like, and my answer to myself was, when I show up as me, I want to be confident that that's me. I don't want to have to explain myself. I don't want to have to be like, okay, I did this because it is. You know what I mean? Or I don't want to have to be like, well, that's how Capricorns or Christians, or I don't want to be held to a thing as that's the reason why I do it. Because this is me, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? This is why, and I want full confidence in that because I didn't have that, right? I'm still searching as as to say, okay, no, this really is me, right? So that was my biggest thing. I was like, when I show up in my future with myself, I want to be myself, no questions about it. I want to be able to explain when someone says, who are you? I need to be like, okay, yeah, I'm this and this is that. I'm ever evolving, ever changing, ever learning, but these are my foundations. These are my basics. This is what we're going to start with. So this is what we settle with. So that was my thing. Like, boom. The second thing was, what do you expect from the therapist, the counselor, who, whatever? And my expectations, just going on what I had already been through, was I need them to give me solid advice immediately. Like, God, if you really want me to do this, I need to feel the effectiveness immediately, because I know how I am. I'm gonna bounce. So he or she needs to say whatever I need he or she to say in this hour, or we chucking the deuces. And I was very confident in that. I didn't sway from that. Like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna give them nope. I did tell myself, okay, you'll be open to hear what in order for you to expect all of that, you will have to be open. And it's so funny because the first time I sat down with her, she asked me that question, like, well, what do you want from me? What can I do for you? Okay, girl, let me tell you. And that's how it happened. And then the third question I asked myself is, are you ready to do the work? Are you ready to do the work? No matter what comes out, no matter how bad this hurts, are you ready to do the work? So at the time, because, I was feeling myself, I was, I'm standing in the mirror, I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. Like, I don't lost weight. Of course, I'm like, yes. Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready. I am giving myself permission right now to do the work to heal. And baby, I wasn't ready for that question. I wasn't ready for that question because dealing with life, with your current life, your past life, and where you want to go in the future, is because that's how my mind works. My mind's like, hurry up and get done with this past thing. Disconnect from it. My current life, I'm moving fast. Like, I'm just moving because I'm trying to get to my future self. All I can see is the future. I haven't slowed down and stopped in either two of those moments, right? Not even in my future. In my future, I'm like, okay, I want that, but I'm not taking my time with it, right? And that's what I've learned on this journey so far. Like, with giving myself permission to heal, I'll have to give myself permission to take each stage as they were. And it was difficult, like, because each dips into, they really dip into each other, because your past, your current situation is definitely going to be your past. It's going to be a decision that you made that's going to, affect the future. So they all flow into each other. You know what I'm saying? So with my past, that's an up and down. That's an up and down motion, because I blocked so much off. Then it's like a door that is just like kind of opening like this, and things are just coming back to me. And what I have been doing now is I'm giving myself permission to be in that moment with those thoughts, or with that memory, for me to really break down that memory. And I ended up, I cry. I've cried a lot. Like, I cry about it. I talk about it. I write about it, but I don't run from it anymore. I don't do that anymore. Now I built the strength for that because I will let days go by and I'll be like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with this right now. And I'm dealing with this right now. Mind you, life is currently happening and I'm making decisions based on this emotion, this memory, this past. And so I started to see the effect of that and how that was playing out in my life. So I said, okay, let me go ahead and stop and deal with it right now. So that's what I started doing, is dealing with that emotion right now, that memory right there at that moment. And I started to take power from that. My current situation, like I'm trying to definitely make sure that I live in my now. Now, my current moment, what's happening in my life right now. And that's super important for me to be in, especially with my daughter. Especially with my daughter entering into high school, because I feel like, oh my gosh, I got, these 4 years with her. And I want to be present with her. I want her to enjoy high school. Like, I did not. You know what I'm saying? So I have so many memories that come up with that as well. And so that's the thing I'm working with. I'm not struggling with that at all because I want her to see me present. So I'm going to be present as much as I can. I still have my, I'm choosing, but I have been choosing her situations a lot more because I've given myself that balance. And so it's my choice. It's my choice to say, all right, girl, we're going to go ahead and do this for you because I want to do it. So that is what I'm really, really dealing with. Now, do I have days where I'm high and where I'm low? Yes, I do. I do have days where I'm high, I'm excited, I'm happy. And I have days where I'm just like, I just don't want to continue doing this. And not life, right? It's just that when you are forming habits or different habits, when you're trying to get a habit, it's a daily choice to make those decisions on that day to choose. And I'd be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to stick to this schedule. I don't want to write this down. I don't want to have to deal with her. I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want to have to think. I just want to work today and then and get off of work and go sleep and, go to bed or relax or put on a show or something like that. Some days I do give into that with guilt, right? And then other days I may compromise. I compromise with myself. Like I kind of like talk to myself like, okay, listen, if you get this done, then you'll be able to have this type of free time, right? And so I'm allowing myself to do that. And so the great thing about that is about this part is I came far enough to understand my resources or understand my my tactics, right? So I know now when I know my weaknesses. Like I know when I just want to be lazy. But I also know how to combat my laziness. I know how to be like, sis, we got this, and this going on. And that's because I make a list. So I make a list with everything that I need to do. And because that kind of overwhelms me, then I'm like, no, like in my head, I'm like, no, because I keep it in the forefront of my mind. And I'm like, no, I got to do this, got to make sure I do this, got to make sure I do that. So I have days where I give myself, if you do what you're supposed to do on this day, then guess what? You got free space here. So I do actually schedule out my free time in my free space. So I feel good. I feel accomplished when I get to that point. Cause then it's like, oh yes, I earned this. But on the flip side, when I don't give myself permission, I just take it, then I feel a type of way. And so because I'm aware of how I feel, I'm like, nah, don't cheat yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's really how I talk to myself. Like, don't cheat yourself. Don't sit here and act like you done did what you're supposed to do. Get up and do what you're supposed to do. And that's just that. And so that's what happens, right? So I'm very happy at where I'm at. I know that I'm still a work in progress. I know that there's things that I need to work on. But I am reaching out to people that I feel like can help me. You know what I'm saying? And that was never me. I always felt like I could do it alone. So now I am reaching out to people that I know have these specialties in these areas that I need help in. And I'm like, hey, I need help. Or can you, do this for me? Or can you do that for me? And some is at a cost. Some is not at a cost. Another thing that I would recommend is um I take a lot of workshops. Like I take a lot of workshops. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of stuff that's on YouTube that's free that you can just listen to. Yeah, be very mindful, obviously, of what you hear and what you listen to, because you don't want to be, if you're already in a particular state of mind, you don't want to be redirected into something else, or to feel more depressed, right? In your current situation, whatever you're going through. But other than that, there are a lot of great resources. Like, I am definitely on Mike Todd's Crazy Faith. I'm listening to them sermons daily. I listen to Les Brown, Denzel, T.D. Jakes has some good ones, just like inspirational. It, like, you can put in like E.T. Oh my God, E.T. would get y'all. E.T. would get you together, okay? It's just those quick inspirations that you need. Just those quick. You don't have to listen to an hour-long sermon. There are some that are like 10 minutes, where I think T.D. Jakes even had like this series where it was just like real short, like motivational things. I had my daughter listen to that first thing in the morning. So it's just the little things that you need to just make adjustments to, but it has to be intentional. Like when you say permission, like after you say, okay, yes, I'm going to do this, you really have to map out kind of a plan on how you're going to do it, because you have to change the habits that you created. You have to change the negative talk. You have to change the things that you already manifested, right? You've already told the universe that you wasn't ish, or that you're not gonna have, or you're not. So now you got to reverse all of that, and you don't realize all the work that you put in to get you already to that point. That same work is going to be needed to reverse that. So yeah, so that's all that I have for today. I really do encourage everyone listening that giving yourself permission, it really is the first step. It's, because when you're going to acknowledge that, okay, I'm a little, I don't feel good. I don't feel good either about myself. I don't like this feeling. I want something to change, And then too, when you give yourself permission, you're also kind of low key forgiving yourself. Like, yo, you know what? Whatever happened. But going forward, we're going to move on. So there's a lot of power in saying, I'm giving myself permission to heal. Like, I'm giving myself permission. There's a lot of power in that. Like, you're definitely taking your power back with that. And yes, from my experience, this was 3-4 years ago, and I'm here. So this isn't, for me, this wasn't, and it still isn't. This is still a journey. This is still a learning situation for me, right? Because some things I heeded to, and some things I was like, I'm not dealing with that, and now have to deal with it. So that's the funny part. Like, the things that I try to run from and said that I wasn't going to do, I now currently have to deal with them. But I am grateful for however it went, because I have a different mindset to be open to deal with those things. So yeah, so give yourself permission to heal. Let's say it together. I give myself permission to heal. Heard you told you that. So yeah, so anyways, that's it for Wednesday's Random. I want to thank you guys again for following my journey. We are on to something, y'all. I feel it in the atmosphere. We are on to something, and I just want to say thank you. Continue to follow, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know how you guys feel about